Today, I want to talk about the value of time, the fleeting nature of life, and how we often spend so much of it chasing things that, in the end, don't really matter. Time is the most valuable asset we have. Unlike money or material possessions, time is finite, and once it's gone forever. But here's the paradox. While time is our most precious resource, we often live as if we have an infinite supply. We get caught up in routines, distracted by the busyness of life, and before we know it, years have passed. We're older, perhaps wiser, but we look back and wonder, what did we do with all that time? Did we live it fully, or did we just let it slip by? I'd like you to think back on the hardest moments of your life, the challenges, the setbacks, the moments that tested your strength and resilience. These are often the moments we try to forget, but they are also the moments that shape us, that teach us the most valuable lessons. They force us to confront the reality of time, to face the fact that life is short, and that each moment is precious. You see, life isn't about how long we live. It's about the purpose and meaning we give to each day. There's an old saying, life is like a play, and it's not the length of the performance that matters, but the excellence of the acting. In other words, it's not about how many years we live, but how well we live those years. We've all heard stories of people who live long lives, but never truly experience life. And we've also heard stories of those who, in a few short years, manage to live with such purpose and passion that they leave a lasting legacy. Think about it. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered for the things you owned or the success you achieved? Or do you want to be remembered for the way you lived, the impact you had on others, the love and kindness you showed? Too often, we find ourselves chasing after things that don't truly matter in the grand scheme of life. We get caught up in the noise of society, in the pressure to follow the herd, to keep up with others. But the truth is, if we don't live with intention and purpose, we risk wasting the precious time we've been given. We risk looking back one day and realizing that we've spent our lives on things that didn't bring us true fulfillment. Purpose is what gives life meaning. Without it, we're just going through the motions, waiting for tomorrow, hoping that things will somehow get better. But here's the catch. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. We all know this, deep down, but we often forget. We tell ourselves we'll start living with purpose tomorrow. We'll chase our dreams tomorrow. We'll make the changes we need to make tomorrow. But tomorrow may never come. The hardest moments of our lives, the ones we often dread and try to avoid, are the ones that teach us this lesson most clearly. When we face trials and hardships, we're forced to slow down and take stock of what really matters. We realize that life is fragile, that time is limited, and that we can't afford to waste a single day. These moments of suffering, of struggle, are not to be feared. They're to be embraced. They're opportunities for growth, for self-reflection, for learning what truly matters. As the saying goes, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. It is through the challenges we face that we become stronger, that we develop the resilience and wisdom needed to live a meaningful life. So, how do we live with purpose? How do we ensure that we're making the most of the time we have? First and foremost, we must stop living for others. We must stop chasing the expectations and desires of those around us, and instead focus on what truly matters to us. It's easy to follow the crowd, to do what everyone else is doing, but that's not where fulfillment lies. True happiness comes from living authentically, from pursuing the things that bring us joy and meaning, even if they don't align with what others expect. We must also learn to let go of the past and stop fearing the future. Too often, we're held back by regrets about what we didn't do or by anxiety about what's to come. But the truth is, the past is gone, and the future is uncertain. The only thing we truly have is the present moment. And if we can learn to live fully in the present, to embrace each day with purpose and intention, we'll find that life becomes infinitely more fulfilling. Purpose isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we have to cultivate, to work for. It's about making conscious choices every day to live in alignment with our values and our passions. It's about waking up each morning with a sense of gratitude for the time we've been given and a commitment to making the most of it. In the end, it's not about how long we live. It's about the legacy we leave behind, the impact we have on others, the way we choose to spend the precious time we've been given. So, I ask you, what are you going to do with your time? Will you let it slip away, lost in the distractions of daily life? Or will you seize each day with purpose, making the most of every moment? Remember, life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. Let's commit to living with purpose, to making each day count, and to embracing the challenges and trials that come our way as opportunities for growth. Because in the end, it's not about how long we live, but how well we live. Now imagine this. You've just been handed a golden opportunity, a chance to achieve something you've always dreamed of. The excitement is palpable, but then doubt creeps in. You start to think about all the things that could go wrong, the risks involved, and suddenly, the opportunity doesn't seem so golden anymore. You hesitate, you second guess, and you let the moment slip away. How many times have we found ourselves in this situation, paralyzed by fear and doubt, unable to seize the opportunities before us? In our previous discussion, we talked about the value of time and the importance of living with purpose. We explored how life is not measured by its length, but by the depth of its experience. But there's another crucial element that determines how effectively we use our time and live with purpose: personal discipline and self-control. It's one thing to recognize the importance of time and purpose. It's another to put that recognition into practice. The hardest part of living a purposeful life is often not the external challenges we face, but the internal battles we fight. Personal discipline, the ability to control our impulses, manage our emotions, and stay focused on our goals, is what ultimately determines our success and fulfillment. Think back to the moment when you faced a significant challenge or temptation. Perhaps you were trying to break a bad habit or stick to a new goal. The hardest part was not the external barriers, but the internal struggle, resisting the urge to give in, maintaining your focus, and pushing through despite the difficulties. This internal struggle is where true discipline comes into play. Personal discipline is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. It's not something we're born with. It's something we develop through practice and persistence. When we talk about self-control, we're talking about the ability to regulate our thoughts, emotions, and actions, even in the face of adversity. It's about making choices that align with our values and goals, even when those choices are difficult. Consider the ancient wisdom that says, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." This profound truth highlights the essence of personal discipline. True strength lies not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. When we gain control over our own impulses and desires, we unlock a level of power and freedom that is unparalleled. But why is self-control so crucial? Because it allows us to act in alignment with our goals and values, rather than being swayed by momentary desires or external pressures. It helps us stay focused on what truly matters, even when faced with distractions or temptations. Let's take a moment to reflect on how personal discipline impacts our lives. When we discipline ourselves to stick to a healthy routine, resist the lure of instant gratification, or stay committed to long-term goals, we create a foundation for success and fulfillment. On the other hand, when we let our impulses dictate our actions, we often find ourselves derailed, struggling to achieve our objectives. Think about the last time you let anger or frustration get the best of you. We all know how destructive uncontrolled emotions can be. Anger, if not restrained, is often more hurtful to us than the initial injury that provokes it. It clouds our judgment, leads to regrettable actions, and can damage relationships. Personal discipline teaches us to manage our emotions, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Similarly, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. When we take a step back and give ourselves time to cool off, we gain perspective and clarity. This self-control not only helps us handle conflicts more effectively, but also preserves our inner peace and well-being. One key aspect of self-discipline is learning to delay gratification. We live in a world that constantly tempts us with instant rewards and pleasures. Yet true fulfillment often comes from making sacrifices and waiting for long-term benefits. This principle is exemplified in the idea that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Preparation requires discipline, training ourselves to be ready for the opportunities that come our way, rather than being caught off guard. The power of self-control also extends to how we manage our time and resources. Many of us find ourselves overwhelmed by the demands of daily life, struggling to keep up with our responsibilities and goals. Here, personal discipline plays a crucial role. It helps us prioritize our tasks, manage our time effectively, and stay focused on what truly matters. When we lack self-discipline, our plans often miscarry because they have no aim. We drift aimlessly, reacting to whatever comes our way, rather than proactively working towards our goals. On the other hand, a disciplined approach allows us to set clear objectives, create a roadmap for achieving them, and stay committed to our path, even when obstacles arise. It's also important to recognize that personal discipline is not about denying ourselves joy or pleasure. It's about making conscious choices that align with our long-term goals and values. Enjoying present pleasures in such a way that doesn't injure future ones is a hallmark of true self-control. It's about finding balance and making choices that enhance our overall well-being. As we navigate the complexities of life, let us remember that true power and fulfillment come from within. By mastering ourselves, by exercising personal discipline and self-control, we gain the strength to overcome challenges, make meaningful progress, and live with purpose. It's not about being perfect. It's about striving to be better, to act in alignment with our values, and to make the most of the time we have. So, I encourage you all to reflect on your own journey and consider how personal discipline can enhance your life. Embrace the internal struggles as opportunities for growth. Develop your self-control, and let it guide you towards a more purposeful and fulfilling existence. Now, if you've spent years amassing a collection of possessions, from the latest gadgets to luxurious items, you've worked tirelessly to achieve a level of comfort and success that many would envy. Yet, despite all this, you feel an inexplicable emptiness. You're surrounded by wealth, but it seems to lack meaning. Why? With all these things, does happiness still elude you? As we continue from our previous discussions on time and personal discipline, we now turn our attention to how true happiness and fulfillment are deeply intertwined with living simply and relying on oneself. In our modern world, there's a pervasive belief that more is better, that accumulating wealth, possessions, and status will bring us lasting happiness. We're constantly bombarded with messages that encourage us to seek more, to crave the latest trends, to never be satisfied with what we have. But amidst all this noise, a fundamental truth remains. True fulfillment often comes not from excess, but from simplicity. Consider the saying, "It is not the man who is too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This profound observation sheds light on a critical aspect of human contentment. We often believe that acquiring more will solve our problems, but in reality, it is the insatiable craving for more that leaves us feeling poor and unfulfilled. Simplicity is not about denying ourselves joy or pleasure. It's about recognizing that many of the things we chase after are not as essential as we think. We've been using things not because we genuinely need them, but because we've had them available. The true challenge lies in understanding what truly adds value to our lives and what merely distracts us from it. Self-reliance plays a crucial role in this understanding. It's about finding strength and contentment from within, rather than relying on external validation or material possessions. When we rely on ourselves, we cultivate a sense of inner stability and satisfaction that external possessions cannot provide. Imagine a life where you're not constantly seeking approval from others or chasing after the next big thing. Instead, you're content with who you are and what you have. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or goals, but rather shifting the focus from material accumulation to personal growth and well-being. Living in harmony with nature is a beautiful metaphor for self-reliance and simplicity. When we align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life, we find that we don't need excess to be content. We learn to appreciate the essentials and to find joy in the simple things. Moreover, it's crucial to understand that true wealth is not measured by what we possess, but by our ability to find joy and satisfaction within ourselves. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. This timeless wisdom underscores the idea that while possessions can be useful, they should never control us. A wise person uses wealth wisely and maintains a sense of perspective, understanding that it is not the source of true happiness. The journey to self-reliance and simplicity involves reevaluating our values and priorities. It requires us to ask difficult questions about what truly matters in our lives, and to let go of attachments to material things. It's about finding contentment in the present moment, and understanding that happiness comes from within, not from external possessions. One of the greatest challenges in our pursuit of simplicity is overcoming the societal pressures that equate success with material wealth. We are often judged by what we own rather than who we are. However, true self-reliance means stepping away from these superficial measures and embracing a more authentic and meaningful way of living. When we begin to let go of unnecessary possessions and desires, we create space for what truly enriches our lives. We discover that many of the things we once thought we needed are actually unnecessary. This realization can be liberating, allowing us to focus on what genuinely brings us joy and fulfillment. In our journey toward simplicity, we must also recognize the value of gratitude. Appreciating what we have, rather than constantly seeking more, helps us cultivate a sense of contentment and peace. When we are grateful for the simple things, we find that happiness is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our attitude and perspective. As we move forward, let's remember that the pursuit of more often leads to dissatisfaction, while simplicity and self-reliance offer a path to true fulfillment. By focusing on what truly matters, by finding contentment within ourselves, and by appreciating the simple joys of life, we can achieve a sense of lasting happiness and well-being. So, I encourage each of you to reflect on your own lives and consider how you can embrace simplicity and self-reliance. Reevaluate your priorities. Let go of unnecessary desires, and find joy in the present moment. True wealth is not about how much we have, but about how we live and appreciate what we have.